How your narcissist or your borderline keeps torturing you even long after they discard you. Why are you still in pain all of these weeks, months, or even years later? Understand the difference between how a borderline continues to torture you and how the narcissist continues to torture you with intermittent reinforcement trauma. Hi, this is Mike, and this is the one thing that heals BPD and NPD abuse. I just came out with a new book over here, How I Survived My Borderline Girlfriend. You can find it on Amazon and Kindle. It'll be on Audible soon, audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. Okay, so how your narcissistic abuser continues to torture you even after the relationship is over, after they've discarded you. I'm going to put a link in here. I was going to do a whole video on it, but I'll just let you watch it. You can hear in the words of somebody at a point in their recovery. I don't know where this person is now, a borderline in her recovery, pretty much showing that she has zero empathy or zero understanding of the pain that she's caused a lot of people that have been with her. So what is it that keeps you in here? If you watch this channel, it means that you're still in pain. Sorry. There's still something about your relationship with your borderline or your narcissist that is still keeping you coming back to these videos. You come back to these videos because I'm explaining to you the inner workings of the mind of the narcissist, the borderline, and I'm talking about your inner workings as well. That is feeding you in some way, that's giving you some comfort. I get no shortage of comments telling me how the videos are helping. But if you're still watching, it means you're still in pain. If you're still in pain, it means that you're still in pain because of something called intermittent reinforcement trauma, which is intimately linked with trauma bonding. You can't have one without the other. In fact, one creates the other. And so what ends up happening, again, what is happening with you is exactly what's happening with your borderline. What's happening with you is that you have a survival instinct. You believe that your survival depends on you either getting love from your borderline or getting your feeling of worth from being able to help them. And so what happens is, in the beginning, as you know, what it happens is you are love bombed in the beginning. They love you, they bond with you, they connect with you. This creates a bond. You feel loved, you feel seen for the first time in your life. And then they start to dysregulate and they attack you, they leave you, they discard you. And this causes a trauma within you because for a brief moment, you were fulfilled. Your need to be loved and seen and or to be somebody who will be able to fix and help and take care of somebody else. That survival mechanism, which by the way, to your unconscious means your survival. Your value becomes disrupted and then you go into a state of trauma. It's a life and death trauma. You're now suffering from PTSD. You think, how can I be suffering from PTSD? There weren't any bombs going off. Well, because when your borderline or your narcissist leaves you, discards you, they're cutting you off from the object that you believe is giving you life, this relationship, their love, their approval, whatever, their happiness, whatever it is. That is actually your fuel, your life fuel, and without it, to your unconscious mind, it feels like you are dying. So now you are in a state of PTSD and you are trying to survive. You try and forget about them and move on, but you can't. Why? Because from your unconscious mind's perspective, you've lost a leg. You're limping around with one leg and you're bleeding. You need to get your other leg back. Consciously, you go, it's just a relationship. But emotionally, there's this hole in your gut. You're filled with intense, deep anxiety that's, makes you want to drink, jump off a cliff, kill yourself. You want to do whatever you can to get that anxiety taken care of. You're now in a state of PTSD, and what happens then? Depending on your cycle and the cycle of your borderline, she calls you back and says she wants to get back together with you. It was all her fault. She made a mistake. Or she says, yeah, you did this and this to me and that's why I left, but that's okay, I forgive you. Whatever she says, she pulls you back in. She creates a bond with you again. You're safe, you're okay. Maybe you're walking on eggshells, but you have this feeling of hope, you're going to be okay. And then, of course, eventually something happens. She splits on you, she discards you. And so now you're in this trauma bond loop. You can't get out of it. The reward that you get when you're pulled back into the relationship, the flood of chemicals, neurochemicals in your body, the flood of overwhelming satisfaction your unconscious gives you by saying, we have value now, we are going to survive, we'll be okay. This creates a bond, a trauma bond loop that will not allow you to think clearly. So you never get out of the PTSD. The walking on eggshells is called PTSD. Oh, she's happy today, but I'm walking on eggshells. She's happy today. When is the rug going to get pulled out from underneath me? That's called PTSD. And you're having this. So getting back together with her doesn't fix anything. It gives you the reward, the chemical reward, which is now has become an addiction. You are addicted to the abuse and then the reward, the abuse and then the reward. And each one does it a different way. If we look here at my graph, the borderline says, you must love me no matter what I do to you. So the borderline says, you must love me. I'm in pain. I'm so needy. I'm this beautiful, innocent, sweet, little vulnerable, blue-eyed, love goddess kitten. You can't be mad at me for long. Look at how pathetic and how beautiful and wonderful I am. Look at how good I am to you in bed, right? So she says, no matter what I do, you must love me no matter what I do to you. You'll hear borderlines say this. Even borderlines in recovery will say, you have to find somebody who can understand your mental illness, which is another way of saying you have to be with somebody who's going to put up with your crap. They have to know that they have to give you permission to abuse them. And so you have to find somebody who can handle me. Or if they do discard you, they might even say, you can't handle me. I have to find somebody who can handle me, who's strong enough to handle all of my ups and downs. Okay? So that's how the borderline does it. The narcissist says, you must obey me no matter what I do to you, and uses the bully tactic. So this is a different kind of codependent who needs to be abused in that way, needs to be treated like a doormat, and you get your value knowing that as long as he's yelling at me and beating me up, at least he's giving me attention. And if I allow myself to be hurt enough, or if I start crying enough, or if I beg and plead enough, if I do enough to prove to them what a good slave I am to them, then at some point they will reward me, and that reward will then make it all okay. A kind look, a touch, a kiss, lovemaking, out for dinner, a gift. But then once they've got you in the bond again, then the abuse continues. Sam Vaknin said it perfectly as he was abusing somebody. If you watch him on his on the documentary about him, they catch him abusing a guy, and he explains that if you're going to be a bully, you can't overdo it, because you only bully somebody as far as they can go, and then you don't want to push them too far because then they'll leave, and then when they're just about at the edge of their tolerance, then you pull them back in. You give them some positive reinforcement, and then you start the abuse all over again. And so that's how the narcissist does it. You must obey me no matter what I do to you, and as long as we have this agreement, then I will keep you on a long leash, yank you back. And so intermittent reinforcement, you are addicted to that. In the case of the borderline, there will come a final discard. Well, they will discard you and they will not come back for you. But because you have, like a dog, been trained so well, the intermittent reinforcement will keep you in it. which is why on my channel there are people who have been out of their relationship. In some cases, in one case, one guy, the borderline killed herself. He still asks me about it. He still wants to know what he can do to fix the pain within him. He's in a new relationship with somebody that loves him. He knows that he might sabotage that relationship. He even said to me he doesn't believe in a final discard, which means even though his borderline has killed herself, you can't get more final of a discard than that. He still doesn't believe in a final discard, which means he's still bonded to her. He's again one of those people that won't take my suggestions on how to completely heal. So you get the idea. You can't ever get out of this. Once you are in that trauma bond, there's nothing that's going to fix it. I'm sorry, there's nothing that's going to fix it. No amount of time is going to heal that. No amount of self-awareness, no amount of self-work is going to change the fact that you are in an addictive trauma bond repetitive cycle. There's only one thing that can cure that. And the good news is it will completely cure you of it. You will never think about your ex again. You will never be in pain again. Even if you do think about them, there will be no pain associated with it. You won't worry about other people hurting you. This happens if you do what I suggest. And I tell you exactly how to do that in this book, How I Survived My Borderline Girlfriend. Go to Amazon or Kindle, or when it comes out on audio, you can get it on Audible. So that's it. Your narcissist and your borderline keeps torturing you after they discard you, even if they're never coming back, even if they're dead. They still continue to torture you from the grave with this intermittent, what is it called? Intermittent reinforcement trauma. The only thing that happens, let's say your borderline dies on you, she's discarded you and then ghosted you and then kills herself, you're just halfway through the loop. You're now stuck on pause. You're not out of the loop. You're still being abused by her even from the grave. You want freedom from that? I tell you how to do it in my book. That's it. I wish you guys all the best. I'll see you guys all very soon.